Good afternoon. I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales. Today, we're joined by Bill Storm. He is one of a handful, slightly more than a handful, one of 6 national trainers for the Tony Robbins Group. Try to find your peak performance. Walk across the fire. Good afternoon, Bill.
Good afternoon, Gerald. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, I've always been interested in motivational speaking and peak performance. I just got done talking with Dom Vitale on our other show, Las Vegas Wrestling Scene Confidential, and he's doing personal development classes using wrestling training as a base. And I thought, hey, we're on a roll. Let's go right up to the top. Let's go to Tony Robbins, because when people think about motivational speaking, Tony Robbins always comes up pretty high on the list. And Bill, you're one of a very select few people that Tony personally selected to do his workshops. How did that come about? How did you end up getting involved with Tony Robbins Group?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I've got a lot in common with your wrestler friend there. I've been involved in the martial arts for literally pretty much my entire life, for about 40 years. And so
Really?
I relate a lot of the peak performance training to that as well. And matter of fact, that's the kind of person that Tony is looking for when he's looking for someone to represent his face and brand all over the world. So my quick backstory on this is kind of funny. I was actually introduced to Tony Robbins 35 years ago. And back then I was 17 years young at the time, still in high school, but I worked 2 jobs. First job I had was that I taught martial arts classes in the evening. And the second job that I had was I worked at the same place at a martial arts school, but right after school, I was the janitor. I was the one that came in and I did the whole wax on, wax off thing, right? I cleaned the floors and the mirrors and the bathrooms and all of that kind of stuff. And it was kind of fun. And one of the things that I was really fortunate to have is I had a master instructor and a boss who was really big into personal growth and development. And he actually went to one of the first Unleash the Power Within events. That's Tony's flagship event. And at the end of day 1, that's what UPW is famous for, is the fire walk, where you're literally standing in front of a 10-foot stretch of burning hot coals, and he's asking you to walk across those things, right? Mm-hmm. So my instructor did it. He came back to our Monday morning team meeting like he was still walking on fire. I mean, he was lit and he was excited, and he completely infused the entire culture of our school, changed the entire culture of our school with Tony Robbins material. So one of the things that I was very fortunate was that he didn't just invest in himself, he also invested in us as a team. And I like to say he invested in me. And he brought us back a gift. And the gift that he brought back was Tony's course that he was selling at the time. It was called Personal Power. And probably, as you know, right back then, there wasn't the internet, but there was infomercial on television. So any given evening, you could turn it on, and there was Tony selling this series of cassettes and workbooks that went along with it. It was called Personal Power. Mm-hmm. So I remember one day I was cleaning the mirrors, and my instructor came up to me and he says, "Billy," he goes, "I want to talk to you for a second." I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "I want you to understand, right now you are not a janitor." He goes, "Right now you are in martial arts university. And if you will listen to Tony's material while you're doing this work, you will literally condition yourself and create a life for yourself that other people can only dream of." So that's exactly what I did. I trusted him. I believed him. And I pulled out my old Sony Walkman, right? Because that's what you used to have to listen to audio cassettes on. And I listened to that stuff over and over and over again till I could literally complete Tony's sentences almost verbatim. And that's really how I got my start. So it's, me being here today, or me being a part of Tony's organization and introducing him to people all over the world, that's not something that happened yesterday. That was a seed that was planted 35 years ago.
That's really interesting, because that's really the idea, isn't it? You want to light a fire, develop something within yourself to have that drive and to push forward. Because what I deal with when I'm talking with dealerships, talking with auto salespeople, almost all the time, the biggest enemy they face is in fact themselves. Mm-hmm. Because it's so easy to let the rejection overwhelm you. It's so easy to let the losses be the only thing you think about and not think about the wins and just give up instead of pushing yourself forward. Is that something that a personal development class, a peak performance class can really focus on to get people to find that inner fire, like the fuse, if you will?
Yeah, 100%. Again, who shows up is who you've conditioned yourself to be, right? You can either look for the negative in it, or you can look for the positive in it. And, when you condition yourself, that you've become the kind of person, right? You've become the kind of person that's going to produce results no matter what the outside world throws at you, no matter how many no's that you get. That that's just part of the game. And statistically, that if you just keep on doing the right things, if you have the right habits and you have the right beliefs and you have the right patterns in your life and you do those things consistently over and over again, statistically, you're going to produce the result that you want. What a lot of people have problems in sales is that they just don't do enough activity in order to produce the result that they're really looking for. I mean, they're literally looking for business just to fall in their lap. And we know that that's simply not true, right? Anyone who's successful in any area of their life, whether it's their career in sales or even their relationships or even their health, it all takes energy. So that's what's really interesting about it. And we used to use this phrase all the time. It was something that Tony says, and I added on a little caveat to the end of it. But we always told our students, we said, where attention goes, energy flows, and results always show, right? Where attention goes, energy flows, and results always show. So sometimes when you're setting goals, you've got a goal and it's something that you want, but we don't get what we want, right? We get what we commit to. So we have to establish these, patterns and habits that are going to produce the result no matter what happens in our lives.
Yeah. So it's more of a philosophy to be willing to do the work. Because here's a autostat. Internet leads have become the single most important thing for car dealerships because that's where your customers come from now. On average, according to NADA studies, it takes 12 contact attempts, text, phone, or email to reach a customer once. It takes 5 successful contacts to set an appointment. So now we're at a minimum of 17 per person.
Right.
The average salesperson gives up at 4.
That's right. Yes.
You're not going to get it because you're conditioning yourself to fail as opposed to committing to do the work that you need to do to be successful.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what you're saying, right? So everybody is trying to focus on the 4% that are ready to go right now, but that's leaving 96% of the people on the table. And the number one sin, if you will, of any salesperson is giving up too soon, right? In today's day and age, people have the attention span of a goldfish, right? So trying to get through all the noise on the internet and getting people to respond, they just have too many things on their plate. And it's not that they don't want to answer your question. Just me, for example, like if I'm going to buy something and I inquire about something and I don't get back to somebody right away, it's not because I'm not interested anymore. It's just because I just have so many things on my plate. I just haven't had the opportunity to, and I really need somebody just to bring it back to the top of the pile again. So I become conscious of the fact that I need to do something.
Sure.
So 100%. And I think sometimes, motivation is great, but motivation's not enough, right? You have to have some systems and strategies in place, and you have to know those statistics so it becomes part of the game, and you don't give up too soon because statistically it's going to take those number of attempts, if you will, in order to secure the appointment. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, if you look at one individual person, hey, maybe that one person, you picked up the phone, you called, and they said, oh, wow, yeah, I want to buy it. I'm coming in right now. That's the exception. That's not the rule.
Yes.
But like you're saying, if you make the exception the rule, then you're really kind of dooming yourself to failure.
Yeah. And then, of course, Gerald, if you want to go from good to great, my brother-in-law is actually in the car sales business.
Oh, okay.
And so, I get a lot of behind the scenes from him. And actually, I used to have a student a long time ago that he was the manager of one of the Saturn dealerships when Saturn first came out.
Sure.
And it was really interesting because yes, while the majority of leads are coming in through the internet, that's amazing. But if you want to go from good to great, really with car sales, it really does. If you're going to do this for the long term, it comes down to relationships. So my brother-in-law, for example, he's amazing at the number of relationships that he's built, where he's getting so much repeat business. He gets so many referrals that he's not relying on that incoming traffic necessarily, because he's created this pipeline, and it's because of the kind of person that he's become, and he attracts people to him that want to do business with him. People that it's not going to take 12 times, right, in order to get them to answer the call. They're going to be like, oh, hey, Don, how you doing? Man, I got your name from so-and-so, and they said you were the best. Boom.
Well, and that's the goal. That's what you want to achieve, because once you get somebody the one time, if you are providing great customer service, you are attentive, you do listen, you do show somebody a solution to their problems,
right?
Yeah, they will come back, and they'll probably send other people. And you can see it. You walk into any dealership in the country, you can usually walk in, and within a couple of minutes, you can look and say, okay, that person sells a lot of cars.
Right.
That person sells a lot of cars. What's the thing they have in common? Usually a lot of energy, upbeat, personal, and personable. They want to talk to you. Yes. They're not turning their head away when somebody comes in. They're not walking to the left when somebody's going to the right. They're literally walking into the fire, walking over the fire, and going to the contact because they want to talk to somebody. And I think that's a big part of any success too, is actually being willing to engage. Do you guys get into that? Just getting over the apprehension of communication?
Yes. It's funny. I actually a client that I've worked with, she's actually in real estate, but kind of it goes along the same vein. And she asked me a really good question. I thought this was great, right? She said, you know, what I found determines the number one thing that determines how successful somebody is in this business is how many people that you actually like. Are you a people person? Do you actually like people? Are you inquisitive? Do you enjoy starting that conversation, or not, right? Because if you're not that kind of person, you're going to have a tough road to hoe sometimes. But if you're the kind of person who, is really interested in helping that person get what they're looking for, right, then you're definitely going to want to step up, because you know that you're the right person that's going to be able to help them actually get that thing. So a lot of it does come down to you as a person, right? Tony Robbins had a mentor too, Jim Rohn, right? You're probably familiar with that name, right? So Jim Rohn said this, and I thought this was great, right? Jim Rohn said, if you want to have more, you have to become more, right? You're not waiting for somebody else to change. You're doing it internally within yourself. And I think that's really what it is. With your, the name of your show, which I love, Wrestling with Sales, right? Sometimes what you're doing is you're wrestling with yourself, right? To step up, to become that kind of person that deserves the kind of success that you're looking for. And in any kind of sales, that definitely boils down to, are you there for the right reason? Are you there just to get a paycheck, or are you really there for the right reason? And that's to serve that customer at a high level and earn that business, I guess, if you will.
That's a lot of it. Absolutely. And I think you had a good point too. Do you enjoy talking to people? Because if you can find, interest, you're actually happy to have the conversation. Find out about a job that somebody has. Talk a little bit about, hey, what made you do that? How'd you get into that line of work? Find out a little bit about the person. Then you really do break down a lot of barriers, because now you're not the nameless, faceless salesperson talking to that customer. You're somebody that's really interested in learning about their experiences. You're really interested in finding out what goes into a day in their life and trying to help them with literally whatever you're selling, because I'm sure you deal with all sorts of different corporations and industries.
Yeah, 100%.
Across the board.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like to think about it this way. Sometimes we get a negative connotation on what sales means, where we think we're doing something to somebody. And sometimes that creates a psychological fear in ourselves to approach somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you treat it like, you were having a cup of coffee with somebody, right? If you sat down and you went to Starbucks or wherever you go, right? And you sat down and had a cup of coffee and you were really sincerely interested and you just started talking shop, right? You just started talking about cars and you're like, hey, what did you love? I really want to help you here and figure out what's going to be the best vehicle for you. But, tell me this, like, what do you love about the last car you bought? Like what kind of features or what kind of things did it have that was amazing that you'd like to have in the new car? And is there anything that your previous car didn't have that you're kind of looking for? And let's just see which one is going to be the right fit. So now you're talking shop, right? You're talking, all of a sudden it becomes playful. It becomes kind of fun. And it gets somebody to kind of relax and feel more comfortable.
Well, and that is a lot of it, isn't it? And breaking down those layers of communication apprehension, because people it's somewhat ironic with all the communication technologies we have now, all the mediated communications we have with text messages, cell phones, Zoom. There is, I think, a degree where people are even more afraid now than they were, say, 15, 20 years ago from just going up and talking to people.
Yeah.
That's something you've seen?
Oh yeah, 100%. And the funny thing is it's people's perceptions, right? So you're looking at the person coming through the door and you're already like a million things are going through your mind, prejudging whether or not that person's going to buy a car from you today. Really what it is your own insecurities and your own fears, but you're prejudging whether they're going to do it or not. And it's funny because they're walking through the door and they're like, oh, I don't even really want to walk in the door, right? I don't even want to go in because this person's going to swoop down on me and they're just going to try to take my keys. Right?
You end up buying something you don't want to buy.
Yeah, hold me here hostage, and it's like, wow, how did that happen? How did we get to that point? And obviously there's a small group of people that have kind of created that kind of uncomfortable atmosphere, and we need to be able to break through that, right? So we need to figure out, okay, if I was the one, right? If I was the salesperson and I was the one walking in to buy the car, how would I want to be treated, right? How would I want somebody to greet me? What would I want them to ask me? What would I want them to say? How close would I want them to stand to me? All of those kind of things is what it comes down to, right? It all comes down to the psychology of things. And Tony has a great course that I absolutely love. It's called Mastery Influence. And that's what it's really all about. It's really about how to uncover somebody's needs in a way that makes them feel extremely comfortable so that they end up making the decision, right? They end up making the decision based on how you've helped them, how you've answered their questions, and how you've led them to show them that your product or service is going to scratch their itch. It's going to be the right thing. But it's not because you had to manipulate them or coerce them or use some sort of gimmick or sales strategy, right? But instead, you've connected with them at such a deep level that they've come to the conclusion that you're the right fit for them. You're the one who can deliver what they're looking for.
Now, I know there's a special offer that Tony Robbins has gotten into since COVID. I want to get into that. I do want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, though, Montway Auto Transport. Hey, auto dealers, do you know where your vehicles are and when they'll arrive? I know the inventory management challenges dealers face, and I know the answer is a resounding no right now. But hey, Montway Auto Transport can change your answer to a confident yes with the Montway Automation Portal, better known as MAP. MAP offers a smarter way to move and manage orders while giving you end-to-end visibility of all inbound and outbound units. You can upload VINs, get pricing, dispatch the orders, and track every unit on the dashboard. Leveraging MAP can save you time and money and get your vehicles to the lots quicker to sell. With MAP, you can book, track, and manage your inventory from one revolutionary platform. See MAP in action at www.montway.com/MAP. Go ahead and write it down. It's www.montway.com/MAP and put your dealership on the map. You don't even have to walk through fire. All you have to do is go to montway.com and sign up for MAP. Now, I know that it really is a great incentive. Tony Robbins is now offering that initial workshop just basically just for asking for it, right?
Yeah, which I think is amazing, right? Tony is kind of as a company, we've all kind of discussed this, and when you lead with service, right? A lot of times we will get resistance from people because they believe that there's some sort of catch, but we actually do a free peak performance workshop for companies, right, that are progressive and they want to be able to help their teams grow. So what we do is we offer a free 90-minute peak performance workshop. And it's sort of a mini version of Tony's most sought after event, or his flagship event, which is called Unleash the Power Within, or UPW. And literally what we're doing is we're getting people to become conscious of their limiting beliefs, patterns, and habits that have been holding them back from showing up at a level 10 in each area of life. So the workshop is really interesting because it's not something where I talk to somebody. It's something where we really engage and participate. People laugh. People have these aha moments, right? Light bulbs go off in their head because they're going through 60 minutes or so of like self-discovery. They're starting to figure out, oh, now I get it. Now I understand why I haven't been able to get the results that I want in this area of my life, right? I had some sort of belief, I had some sort of pattern, I had some sort of habit that I wasn't even aware of that was going on in the background, going over and over and over again, right? Kind of like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So my job is to basically lead them through that process. And each person that's on the line is going to hear it differently. One person may focus in on something that's holding them back in their career. Somebody may focus in on, wow, okay, well, the reason why my career isn't working really well is because I have all these problems going on in my home. So the first thing they're thinking of is their relationship issues. And then somebody else is like, no, that's not what's going on. I have some health issues that I have to get serious about. So everybody is hearing it. Although I'm talking to a group, each person is hearing it a little bit differently as an individual. And then what my job is to help them become conscious of what those things are, and then help them give them some real tools, resources, and strategies to help them get from where they are now to where they want to be. It's kind of like being in the transportation business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true because everybody has their own unique set of factors that determine their success and determine if you're actually going to work or if you're just present and you're there in body, but you're just not there in mind, or you're so beaten down and so just wounded mentally. Any rejection at all, any hint of rejection, you just shut down.
Yes.
And then we're going to invite people to come on and join us, right, in 2 weeks at noon to do that workshop and just host it online, which should be great.
Yeah, so that should be amazing. I have just so you do a little bit of checking. I'm just kind of looking at your time zone here. I actually have it down for 2 p.m. I think on that day. So
okay. So we'll do it at 2 Central. No problem.
Just want to make sure that we double check. So,
we want to get it at the right time. Absolutely, 2 p.m. Central, and you can just follow us and join in. Really, just pop in. We'll have it streamed live. You can watch it, and we definitely want to invite you in to take advantage of it and hopefully pull something out that will get you refocused and ready for the next year, because it's going to be time to really start grinding away. Now we're a couple of years out from the height of the COVID pandemic. We've gone through the lack of inventory. It's really been an unprecedented time in auto sales and a lot of other industries too. But now it's kind of getting back to normal. And I think it's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people in sales, because it's going to be time to be competitive again. It's going to be time to start digging in and really having to fight for sales and overcome some preconceived notions that you've already had. So I think it's a great time to really reset and just take an evaluation of yourself, both mentally and physically.
And one of the great things about this is too is, like anything, we say teamwork makes the dream work. Well, here's the thing. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to provide you with the tools, the resources, and the strategies, and give you literally an unfair advantage in your marketplace. So during the course of that workshop, I know that we're all busy, and I know that we all have a hard time keeping our focus on anything. But I really would recommend that if you sign up for this thing, really block it off in your calendar. I mean, tell the world you're going to be off the grid for a little bit, right? Because I promise you the world will still be there when you get back. But take a little bit of time for yourself, because this really will be all about you. It's about peeling the onion, getting to the core of who you are as a person, what you really want in your life, and then help give you the confidence in the tools that you need in order to be able to produce the results that you want, right? So that way you're feeling, we're going into the end of 2022, and I want to help you get a plan, right? Help you finish the year strong, first of all, but get you set up to where you get a fast start to 2023. And it's not one of those things where you're going to do a repeat of what you did before. But in 2023, you're going to be able to really achieve the level and become the level of person that you really choose to be, whatever that means to you, right? We don't want to compare to what somebody else is definition of success is. We want to just become the best version of you in 2023. And hopefully we're going to be able to team up with you and be able to give you just that, the opportunity and the resources to be able to hit your level 10, whatever that may be.
It is important too, because in car sales, you wouldn't think it, but the busiest week of the year is usually the last week of the year.
Yes.
And then the second busiest week of the year is the first week of the year. It's really kind of changed. It used to be July and August, but now it's right around the corner. So it's a great time to kind of get reset and get remotivated.
That's interesting that you say that too. So just imagine this. Imagine you go through the workshop, right? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. I understand what's been holding me back from showing up. And so now you've got this momentum going, like you're lit, you're fired up, you're excited. You've got this new outlook and you realize what's been holding you back. And now all of a sudden you unleashed, right? This is where you unleash your personal power, and you go into the end of the year with this new attitude and this new excitement and this new viewpoint, and you just go in there and just kill it. So when people walk in the door, instead of having a kind of this a neutral kind of energy, you're just radiating awesome, right? I mean, you're just radiating where you've got that spirit. You are in spirit, right? Going into the end of the year, and people can feel that, right? Selling is nothing more than a transference of feeling. So they're going to feel your energy when they walk in the door, like, wow, this is amazing. I can't wait to buy a car. You're going to give not only are they going to give a gift to themselves by getting their vehicle that they want to get, but you're also going to be giving them a really good experience in the process, which in turn is going to make you feel pretty darn good finishing out the year strong.
Absolutely. And you'll be reinforced by the fact that it is one of the busiest times of the year. So you're going to get a chance to practice and see the benefits of your work in really short order coming right up. And then all you have to do is just subscribe to Wrestling with Sales on YouTube. You can also follow on LinkedIn, and I'll make sure we repost and have multiple notices of when that's coming up. I just wanted to hit a little bit of the Wrestling with Sales theme too. Just a couple quick ones for you. Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor World Champion, a pro wrestling legend. Right. He comes out to the ring to his song, Judas. I'm becoming Judas in my mind. I just think that is such a applicable song for sales, because so many salespeople, they do become Judas in their mind, and they talk themselves out of selling something. Do you see that across industries where you just decide, I can't sell this person? And once you decide that, you're right, you won't.
Yeah, in every industry, we see this, right? I mean, people are worried about COVID, or they're worried about inflation, and they're worried about interest rates, and they're worried about all these other things. But the worst enemy we have is ourselves, right? We talk ourselves out of the sale before it even happens. And the thing is that a lot of times, like if nobody ever told you that anything was going on, or like literally like if somebody pre-framed you, wow, this person that's coming in the door, I wish I had this person because they're so ready to buy a car. If somebody told you that, right, you would think completely differently.
Sure.
So it's really all about, the stories that you tell yourself in your mind before they walk in the door. You have to understand, right? Especially going into the end of the year. If somebody's walking in at the end of the year, they are ready to buy a vehicle, right? Because no one walks in if they, the holidays is one of those times where people's checkbooks open up and they are conditioned to spend money. So if they're walking in to buy a vehicle, I'm pretty darn sure it's not necessarily because they just need one, right? They probably are walking in there because they're like, you know what? I'm worth it. I'm going to get myself a new vehicle right now. Sure. And they are desperately looking for somebody who's going to sell it to them, right? They want somebody who's going to make that a magical experience for them. And that can be you. So you just have to look at that person walking in the door, knowing that they are hot to trot, right? They are ready to buy a car.
They want to get a better experience at the dealership than they get at the Starbucks or the Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And
there's a lot to be learned about that too. Like Chick-fil-A is amazing.
They are.
Right. The way that they treat you is heads and tails above any other place that you go. So there's a lot to be learned about that, how courteous they are, how attentive they are to what you want. And that's why you always see these lines wrapped around the building to go there. So couldn't that be you? Couldn't you have a line, of people that are just waiting to talk to you specifically because of the kind of person you are and the kind of experience that you've become known for? That's a world class. That's somebody who's world class, playing at a world class level. And it's just a decision. You just have to decide that that's who you're going to be.
Absolutely. And one other wrestling reference. I got my Penta El Zero Miedo.
Nice.
Mask. Zero Miedo, no fear. So have no fear. Because the other thing that really just kills sales, you have the proposal, you have the worksheet, and you look at it and go, oh my God, it's $900 a month. I want to pay that. And then walk over kind of shaking and set it down for the customer. Here's the deal. Here's what we got. I know you probably don't want to do that. No, I don't. As if you had zero miedo and you just walked it up there and said, wow, hey, this is a great deal. I can't believe we have this car in stock and you can get it for only $895 a month. That's way less than you were thinking. Let's just go. Which one's going to have the better chance? The last one. But so many times we destroy ourselves just from the beginning. And I know that's another part of the program is just kind of unleashing your power and not holding yourself back, not being as restricted by your own fears, your own demons, your own reservations to stopping yourself from being successful.
It's funny you say that too, because I think everybody needs to understand that something like a vehicle, sometimes somebody buying a vehicle, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a need. It may be just something that they want. So for example, like my father-in-law, boy, I mean, he was just itching. He wanted to buy a Corvette, right? He wanted to buy a Corvette. And, if you understood that was just his thing, like that scratched his itch, that's what he wanted, right? It wasn't about the price of it. It was like the experience. Like if you could put him in there and he could, feel the leather and he could, feel the engine rumble and he could just, that would be it. And not only are they willing to pay for the actual vehicle, but now the person that you're thinking doesn't have any money is going to turn around and spend thousands of dollars on the accessories that are going to go along with it because it's part of the experience that they want. They're going to buy the hat, they're going to buy the jacket, they're going to buy the t-shirt, they're going to buy all the extra little things that go along with it. So this person that you think because of your thoughts around money doesn't have the money, this person has the money to spend money on what they want. Right? Mm-hmm. They have the money to spend it on what they want, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Bill, thanks a lot for joining me today on Wrestling with Sales. You get to be the Dealership Rescue Sales Entertainer of the Week.
I love it.
And we'll be back on Wednesday, November 30th. We'll host the Tony Robbins Virtual Workshop. All you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, Wrestling with Sales, follow on LinkedIn. it was a $3,500 value prior to the pandemic. It still is. It's just they're giving it away for free. And all you have to do is sign up. You can take part of it along with Bill Storm, one of only 6 trainers personally selected by Tony Robbins. So it's just a great opportunity to get yourself ready for the end of the year. Bill, I want to thank you again and look forward to getting together here at the end of the month.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Gerald. It was an absolute pleasure. And, this year's theme, Tony has a signature hat every year. It says Live Lucky Hat. And the theme for this year was Be a Blessing. And that's why we're offering this thing, $3,500 for training, because Tony challenges, what can we do to be a blessing in people's lives? And the thing is to get out there when people are struggling mentally, to get them back in the right kind of mindset, so that we're not just thinking about surviving, but we're all thriving, and we're all stronger, we're all smarter together. So I'm happy to be there for you. Block off that time. I'm going to bring the heat. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be entertaining. You guys will laugh. We're going to have a lot of fun in the process.
That's awesome. Hey, looking forward to it. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks to everybody who joined live on LinkedIn, and thanks to everybody who's watching on YouTube. I look forward to stepping into the ring next time on Wrestling with Sales.